All right, thank you. Good afternoon again. We're delighted to welcome, I think for the first time, Liu Zhenmin, the Undersecretary General for Economic and Social Affairs, who is here to brief you on the 2017 voluntary national reviews on the implementation of the SDGs. Sir, welcome, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for bringing me to this pressing room. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, it's really very pleased to be back with you. I talked to Stephen that 7 years ago when I was Chinese ambassador here, actually I appeared before the State House. So I know some of you here. This is the first time for me to be here in my capacity as Undersecretary General for DESA. In this capacity, it gives me a really pleasure to launch an important report that highlights the key findings of the country's efforts to implement the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the sincere report of the 2017 Voluntary National Review. This report we just produced yesterday. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development is a transformative, universal plan for action for member states to address the world's greatest sustainable development challenges. The agenda's potential is immense. It commits to leaving no one behind. Many governments are working very hard to set their countries on a sustainable development path. Yet, the 2030 Agenda will only be realized if all member states develop ambitious national responses to the 2030 Agenda's 17 interlinked goals and 169 targets. So one of the innovative aspects of the 2030 Agenda is the review architecture. Among other things, governments conduct regular and inclusive reviews of progress at the national and supranational levels. The results of these reviews are then voluntarily shared at the annual meetings of the high-level political forum on sustainable development. This is a forum established by the General Assembly and ECOSOC. In 2016, 22 countries conducted such voluntary national reviews. In 2017, 43 countries did so, and 48 countries are registered for review in 2018. It means if we complete this all 48 countries next year, it will count for 113 countries will have review by next year. Then remaining 80 countries for the next 2 years. This report is prepared on the synthesis of the 43 voluntary national reviews conducted at the high-level political forum in 2017. It provides a critical snapshot of what early implementation of the 2030 Agenda looks like. It shows what issues the 43 reviewing countries have addressed and how. It identifies challenges, gaps, achievements, and the lessons learned, including the challenge of data. Report outlines specific actions taken for each of the 17 SDGs at the country level, addressing the central promise of the agenda to leave no one behind. The report also explores how governments have included the SDGs into their national development plans and strategies, and what steps were taken to put in place robust institutional frameworks for guiding the monitoring implementation. It's unfortunate that we just have a few copies in printed form. The whole report is online at the high-level political forum website. So with these remarks, I thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. Sherwin?
Mr. Zhenmin, on behalf of the UN Correspondents Association, welcome to the United Nations, your first briefing, and thank you for coming to speak with us. South African Broadcasting, Can you give us a sense of who are the pace setters, if you will? Which countries are setting the pace here in terms of implementation, in terms of the analysis that you're providing in this review? What are some of the best practices that you're seeing? And be specific in terms of certain countries and which are the countries that are lagging behind?
No, actually, thank you for the question. I think now it's difficult for me now for this moment to tell you that which countries are doing best, which countries have left behind, because we are in the initial process of the review. So this report, since the report, the first report we have as a test, as a pilot report, where I think this is the first report. It's based on 43 voluntary reviews of 43 countries. These 43 countries include 29 from developing countries and 14 from OECD countries. So there's a good experience shared, but there's also good practice shared, but there's also challenges has been reviewed from this process. I think that the purpose for preparing this report, I think we are going to do next year for the next 48 countries. My purpose of DESA is to have this report we cover all the countries for the first round of review during these first 5 years. Then we should know that after review of the all 193 countries during the first review, we should know the real challenges of group of countries and what will be the best practices. I think that this is the DESA intends to know. I think the Secretary General intends to know. Saying we need to think of some action. So this is the first report. I think we could do much better next year. Of course, some lesson challenges outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I'm Lily from Hong Kong Phoenix TV. My question would be, the UN Environment has warned weeks ago that there's a huge gap between what the countries has made pledged under the Paris Agreement and between what it is required by the 2030 agenda. So according to the report, how would DESA working with the countries to make sure that they meet the requirements, and given that some countries like the United States is pulling out of the Paris Agreement? Thank you.
Please.
Thank you. This question is more or less stays away from my thesis report. But of course, I should say to be addressing climate change, I think one of the objectives of the SDGs. Of course, for the Secretary General of UN and for DESA, we are promoting synergy for implementation, both 2030 agenda for sustainable development and also the Paris Agreement. Because you see, for the Paris implementation Paris Agreement is not issue just addressing climate change. It promotes sustainable development itself. So if all countries could use the clean energy, the renewable energy, new energy, then one day we shall achieve the goal of sustainable development, as well as we could contribute to mitigate climate change and control the rise of the temperature. That be required by the Paris Agreement. So that's why I think we are encouraging that the member states to combine their efforts with both implementation of Paris Agreement and the implementation of sustainable development together. So they will achieve the win-win result. I think the COP23 of our climate change will be opened Monday, and the Secretary General will be there next week to address the high-level segment of the COP23. I think he is going to urge member states that they need to recommit to the Paris Agreement for the implementation. Otherwise, we should lag behind what was being required by the agreement itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew?
Sure. Matthew Lee, Intercity Press, on behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access. Thanks for the briefing. Nice to see you back. I wanted to ask about, I guess, civil society involvement in both the preparation of the voluntary national reviews and their reviews when they happen here. There were complaints during the high-level week of some difficulty or maybe there's a misunderstanding. Do you believe, as the head of DESA, that there should be that countries should consult with their civil society in preparing these things? Should they also separately, should they focus on all of the goals, or sort of, some people use this phrase, cherry picking, that countries sort of focus on the goals they're doing well under and are more silent in the reports on other ones? Is it the expectation of the UN that countries engage with civil society and that they report under all the goals, or just their favorite goals that they're doing well under?
Matthew, thank you. I think actually for governments, they are obliged to implement all the 17 goals and 169 targets. They are no selective. So that's why I think there's no question that the country should be in favor of some goals and not in favor of other goals. So actually, I think the theme of the high-level political forum for the review is to leave no one behind. That's for governments, they should leave no one behind. For the United Nations, for the international community, we should work together to leave no country behind. I think that's why in both the national efforts and the international efforts, of course, we should be inclusive to have participation of all the groups. But I think that that's for the governments that to work out the most appropriate process and procedure to prepare their reports. I think for governments, I think that for achieving the 2030 agenda, 17 goals, they need the support of all the groups. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.